the votes to pass the time, they sang a few songs. And an anonymous singer came on stage. Shuli Natan was her name, and she performed a new song written just for that Independence Day. A song by Naomi Shemer, Jerusalem of Gold. She came up on stage without an orchestra, all by herself with a guitar. And from her mouth came out the wonderful words of perhaps the most beautiful song that exists. And no man is visiting the Temple Mount, and spirits, and no man goes down to the Dead Sea on Jericho Road. The crowd was astonished. That song became a lot more popular than the official songs of the competition. And the song left an entire nation excited and saddened. Remember, for 19 years we did not have the heart of Jerusalem, only the western part of the city. After 2 decades of Jerusalem being divided, came a song that expresses the national longing, the feeling of the emptiness, of the void, of a state that is missing its heart. That was the prophecy. And it's not that they were singing Jerusalem songs every year. Just in that year, during that Independence Day, during the parade, news came in about Egyptian preparations for an attack. Israel entered an emergency situation. And this is how the Six-Day War came into a great victory and for the unification of Jerusalem. During the war, the song came like an anthem. And Naomi Shemer added another line to the song. We returned to the old city. A shofar is calling in the old city. And in the tunnels in the stone, we will go down again to the Dead Sea on Jericho Road. And even today, we go down to the Dead Sea through Jericho Road. My friends, 55 years we celebrate today for the unification of Jerusalem. This unites us to this day. But it's not just Jerusalem that has been united. At the days of June 1967, it was an entire nation in Israel and abroad that was connected together. In this biblical moment, if the Bible hasn't been already written, this day should have been part of the Bible. On this day, when Mota Gur announced, we have the Temple Mount in our hands, the Kotel is in our hands, we turned again into one nation, into one person, one people, one heart. At that moment, we were not religious or secular, right or left, Sephardics or Ashkenazi. We were all one nation. Even the course of my own life, even though I was born just 5 years after that war, from a distance of an ocean away, in the United States, my father, of blessed memory, and my mom, who were American Jews who were detached from Judaism, from Israel. During the period before the Six-Day War, they feared that Israel might be destructed. But God believed that this experiment, or some people believe that this experiment is going to be erased. And they became obsessed. They followed every development. And right after the great victory, they moved into Israel without knowing a word of Hebrew, out of Zionism that they couldn't even understand. And here they said they're home. And just like the city that was united, they did not know the difference between different origins, Ashkenazis or Sephardics. How did they say? They said, we're all Jews. The waiting days before the war and the unification of Jerusalem were days of unity. Rare days, unity that became into real power. At the start of the war, opposition leader back then, Menachem Begin, understood the importance of that time, and he joined the government of Levi Eshkol because he understood that this is the right thing, and this is the unity that the people of Israel need. Something of that unity, and out of that strength, is something that we need today. My brothers and sisters, we do not need a war or an emergency time to understand this. We need to always be together, to argue, but together. Let me say another thing. Over the years, Jerusalem Day has become a holiday of primarily one sector, which is the religious Zionism. But the Jerusalem Day shouldn't be a holiday of one sector. Jerusalem doesn't belong to one sector. Jerusalem belongs to all of Israel. Jerusalem Day needs to, again, become a national holiday of all the people of Israel. I would like to read the words of Moshe Stempler of the parachuters brigade of the 55 unit, and he was the commander of the forces that conquered the old city, the Kotel. He was a 7-year-old boy in Poland when the Second World War started. All the Jews in his village were murdered. His mother guarded him and saved him during the Holocaust. He came to Israel at the age of 14. He took part in the wars of Israel. He led his soldiers to the Kotel, and when the paratroopers arrived there and they sang the Tikva and they hung the flag of Israel, he told his friend Zamush, "Zamush, are you here, by the way? Is he here?" No. He must be watching us. He told his friend Zamush, if the great-grandfathers knew that their grandson, will come to the Kotel as a paratrooper with red shoes, they would give their lives 1,000 times just for this moment to come. On the way, they captured a few Jordanian fighters. But then he said, we close the account today not with the Jordanians, but with the Roman soldiers of Titus. And he said, we will never leave this place again. We will never give up this place. My brothers and sisters, on this holiday of Jerusalem, which is the holiday of every Israeli, we will remember not just the unification of the city, but also the unity of the people that brought it. And this is how we swear today as well. We will never give up the unity of Jerusalem, and we will never give up the unity of the people of Israel. Thank you. Happy Jerusalem holiday for the people of Israel.
Just heard Prime Minister Naftali Bennett speak at the Ammunition Hill Memorial Site in Jerusalem, in North Jerusalem, the scene of one of the fiercest battles, and maybe the key battle for Israel reclaiming all of Jerusalem in the 1967 war. And of course, Prime Minister Bennett stressing the unity of Jerusalem, which is what this day marks, but also making we'll say a political call for more unity in the nation, of course, as his own coalition, both within and in terms of its political opposition, is facing quite a bit of disunity currently on the political scene. Still with me in the studio is Reserves IDF Major General Eitan Dangot. And Eitan, we've been talking here about how the events of today were not nearly as bad as they were. I almost can sense a sort of relief from Prime Minister Bennett that he was able to make that speech without having to deal with any major security crisis. We talked about, going into this day, the possibility of rockets from Hamas in Gaza. Perhaps if they were going to shoot him, that would have been the opportune time. But clearly, it looks like, at least for now, and we don't know how the night is going to progress, Hamas made the decision not to do a repeat of last year's performance, shooting rockets, including at Jerusalem.
I think that Hamas is now a new challenge, because if it ended as it is now, I think that the most narrative that Hamas adopted from 21 till now as the new strategic guard from Jerusalem and changes strategic policy is now to calculate itself what they will do in the coming future, as Israel has to calculate their policy again. It can be that Hamas will end this event with a mortar shell or something just for a symbol, but as it looks now, Hamas was warned by Israel due Egypt or other kind of countries, and also the fact that Israeli aircraft moved above Gaza